I've got a piping hot meal fresh out of the Olive Garden microwave straight to your dinner table here. This news is fresh off the press. The CEO of Twitch has announced that they're stepping down. Emmett Shear has been with the company at the helm for 16 years, apparently, and today has decided to move on. So he's quit his position and passed the torch. This is really interesting because it happens so soon after YouTube just experienced something very similar with Susan stepping down. Back to back, these two major companies had their CEOs walking off into the sunset together. I'm not normally conspiratorial, but perhaps there is some kind of correlation between all of the UFOs we've been citing recently and now these CEOs stepping down. Maybe the Illuminati's making some plays for the shadow government. Things are getting very odd. But anyway, Emmett left us a blog post kind of detailing his 16-year adventure here at the helm of Twitch, and even made a Twitter post kind of going over it briefly as well. In October 2006, we started working on live video for the internet. That became Twitch. More than 16 years later, I'm now a father and ready to move to my next phase of life. I wrote a blog post, but the short version is, thank you so much to everyone who built this with me. I'd like to make note that this is probably the first time Emmett Shear has ever said a single word about Twitch on his Twitter account. I've said this a million times, but you would have no idea Emmett Shear is the CEO of a major company like Twitch if you didn't just look it up yourself. I bet you were even scratching your head when I said the name Emmett Shear. You're probably going, who the fuck is Emmett Shear? Is that like a NASCAR driver or something? Like, who's that? I bet most people are probably under the impression Twitch didn't even have a CEO. That position was filled by Amazon androids or something. Emmett Shear has been my poster child for the last couple of years for a CEO that is beyond out of touch with the company that he runs, and it really does convey the idea that he doesn't care about it. Again, he doesn't talk about it. He doesn't engage with it ever. He doesn't celebrate anything about Twitch. If you scroll through his Twitter, you'll never really find any mentions of anything going on Twitch. I imagine he probably doesn't even know 5 streamers that use the platform. Like, I've made this very clear. This is no secret. I've been very public that I'm not the biggest Emmett Shear fan. You're not going to see me heartbroken, curled up and crying over Emmett Shear no longer being Twitch's CEO. Right? I think he has been the most passive CEO of all time, and it's really felt like he is embarrassed of his position at this company. He doesn't talk about it ever. He is never at any of the functions. He doesn't know like half of the shit on his platform. I bet the reason he stepped down is because someone at the office might have accidentally like CC'd him on an email reminding him that he's the CEO of Twitch, and he's like, what? I'm the CEO of Twitch? Still? I thought I gave up this position 8 years ago. Oh, hold on, let me rectify this. So then he just put in his 2 weeks notice. Like, he just has not, in a long time, been active in the platform he is the CEO of. So, I haven't been a big fan. Obviously, the changes that Twitch have been experiencing over the last couple of years have been overwhelmingly fucking terrible and misguided, showcasing just how out of touch a lot of the higher-ups at the company are. So, Emmett Shear stepping down actually kind of had me pumping my fist a little bit. And I know I'm not alone with that sentiment either. I saw a lot of people celebrating like they had just won the fucking Super Bowl, hoping that maybe this is the turning point for Twitch where someone new will step in that's more in touch with the community and will try and correct the ship here and lead Twitch down a better path than the one that it's currently traveling over the last couple of years. But unfortunately, all of that excitement soon turned to excrement as I continued to read. They did announce who the new CEO will be. And unfortunately, it's more disappointing than Season 2 of Promised Neverland. I think this was a big fuck up, but they've chosen to give this position to the current Twitch president, Dan Clancy. I think this is a bigger blunder than when Jeffrey Toobin masturbated on that Zoom call and lost his job. Like, this is so silly. Dan Clancy is kind of just like the bearer of bad news for Twitch. By far his biggest claim to fame and the biggest stain he's already placed upon the company even before becoming CEO is this. He was the brave warrior that proudly posted this. A letter from Twitch president Dan Clancy on subscription revenue shares. This post still lives in infamy and still haunts the platform and scares a lot of creators because we're actually coming up on the period that these changes are supposed to roll out and take place. This was the post where Twitch announced that they are going to be getting rid of the 70-30 split with partnered streamers that are on those deals. So 70-30 will no longer exist. The shares will go down to 50-50 across the board, and they will never go back to 70-30 ever. So it'll be 50-50 across all of Twitch for everyone, no matter what. making it the lowest shares on any streaming platform across the entire internet. Now, in order to make up for this, they doubled down on ads. Something everyone really loves, Twitch ads. The unskippable fucking 30-second ads that play when you click on a stream. Yeah, people love those, so you can imagine how great that news went over. Like, yeah, we're taking away 20%, but we're giving you more ads. So, they are going hog wild with their ad program, incentivizing creators to run more ads to make up for this difference now in income, and just pushing ads even further down the throats of everyone on the platform. This was by far probably one of the most controversial decisions Twitch has ever made, and I still, to this day, have not seen a single person come out in support of it, because Twitch is an Amazon-backed company. Amazon, of all companies, can probably afford to keep Twitch running. Without problem, I would imagine. Especially considering subscription revenue is not the main driver of revenue for the platform in general. It was just extremely greedy to have that be the target, the first thing they target when trying to be more monetizable. Instead of focusing on other aspects of monetization, they immediately went right for the throats of creators by taking away something that had been established on the platform for like a decade now, with that like 70-30 split shit. So, this was a big deal. It is still a big deal because it's supposed to roll out within the next couple of months, and Dan Clancy was the one who announced it publicly. I don't know if he was the one that suggested the idea. I don't know how involved he was with the decision-making process with this idea, though as Twitch president, and from everything I've read, it seems like he's very hands-on with these kind of decisions and these policies. So I would wager a guess that he was very on board with this. Now, even aside from just this decision, people have talked about him over the last 8 or so months, kind of speaking to his character. A popular streamer named Jake and Bake actually got to meet him and had this to say.
It'll be a long time. To be honest, dude, the president of Twitch, I'm sure personally, I have no problem personally with him. But honestly, I don't feel confident as a streamer on the platform with someone who is that out of touch.
Yeah.
What the streamers need and want.
Oh no!
I walked away feeling like depressed. Seriously, sad.
And it wasn't just Jake, a couple other people came forward as well, most notably DJ Wheat, who held a previous high position at Twitch. DJ Wheat said, Dan once told the company he relates with creators because he was involved in drama and theater clubs in high school. He's a good human, but I never felt like he was able to relate to creators and the struggles they faced through every step of their career. Wow, gamers, he's just like us. He did drama and theater in high school. Woohoo! Yippee! That's my boy! It's crazy. Like, he didn't even bother to try and pretend to be, like, a gamer or anything, or, like, ever played games. At least according to this story and a couple other things I read. He focuses on, like, drama and theater as being, like, his relatability quirks. Amazing. Yeah. It doesn't seem great. In fact, I would argue this is a recipe for disaster. Dan is almost 20 years older than Emmett Shear. He's 59, and he doesn't have a Twitter account or much social media at all. Not that I necessarily think that in and of itself is a bad thing. I usually applaud people who don't have a Twitter account, because going on Twitter is like willingly sticking a cactus into your eye. But in a case like this where Dan is the CEO of Twitch, I feel like having a social media presence is extremely important, because where else are you going to be able to see the community's feedback on new features or changes? I don't think there's very many users on Twitch that are going to the support line in order to leave reviews or give you insight on how they feel about certain things. Most people are going to talk about all of this on Twitter or other social media platforms. So if you're completely absent from there, how are you going to see it? And I feel like being able to see these responses is integral to running the company in a healthy way and delivering features people want or making changes people want to see. At least that's just my perspective on it. Maybe I'm way off the mark and they have other means for Dan to get this kind of information from the community that I'm just not really thinking about. So either way though, I'm not super optimistic with Dan Clancy as the new Twitch CEO. I would, however, love to be proven wrong and Dan Clancy comes in here like an absolute rock star and knocks it out of the park. It's probably worth mentioning I have actually met him before. In fact, Matt and I have both met him. When we went up to Texas for a week to do like some wacky content, he was at one of the functions we were attending and introduced himself. And I don't really have a whole lot to say about it. Like, he was nice and seemed passionate about Twitch. The only thing that he really like asked me was if I play games. And I was like, yeah, I play games, and he was just like, that's cool. That was really kind of like the extent of our interaction. It was just really small talk things about like, yeah, Twitch is a place for gaming. You play games. Awesome. So I can kind of just vaguely speak to his character of like he seemed very passionate about the platform, but I don't know anything else really about him. He seemed nice, I guess, but just being nice doesn't make you a good leader of the platform. So hopefully, like maybe he has good intentions and has good ideas on ways to make Twitch better because it needs some drastic improvement with the directions it's been heading. So I guess we'll see how all of that goes, but just wanted to talk about all of this because it's big news. That's about it. See ya.